Tonight we're going to do a Highland cow wreath. This is the time of year which I do Easter and everyday wreaths the most. Because it's dreary outside and it brings brightness in. So we're going to be using some heck mesh, and then we have some florals we're going to use, because y'all know me. We're going to get some florals in there. The 12-inch signs are like perfect for the ring board. This is how I have the board loaded, every other. Same on the inside. Y'all ready to cut some mesh? Let's cut some mesh. On the outside, we're going to do 20 inches. And this is actually a really pastelish pink mesh that I'm using. And we're only going to need 8 pieces for the outside. And as always, we're going to do the tuck and roll. Tuck. Well, tuck and ruffle. And ruffle. I like mine face up. That way the wreath looks nicer and fuller. So how is everybody's week going so far? Y'all having a good week? Have y'all seen the new kits this week? Have y'all seen Jackie's picks this week? Am I not seeing comments? What's going on here? Let's try this again. Did y'all see, have y'all been paying attention to Jackie's picks when I do the picks? The different supplies that you can get for wreaths? Because this Saturday, actually I told I was going to do the bee, but I'm going to do the girl bunny first. And then the bumblebee pick that I did this week, I'm going to do that on Wednesday next week. Because I did the girl bunny pick last week. So I need to do that one first. And then next Wednesday, I'll do the bumblebee pick that I did for y'all. I'm gonna like try harder when I do tutorials on them every now and then for y'all. This mesh that it's a little bit soft, and I mean, for this project, soft mesh is okay. So that's why I'm gonna put mesh in the center, because the mesh is soft. So the reason I'm gonna put the mesh in the center is to help support the sign. Kind of don't need it, but for this to look like a fluffy wreath like I like, it needs that mesh in the center to be fluffy. Because otherwise the sign would just sink down to the frame, and I don't want that. All right, so that's 8 pieces of mesh on the outside, cut 20 inches. And now we're gonna cut 8 more 20 inches for the inside. Like I said, if you want your wreath to be flatter, then you don't need to do this part, okay? You can go ahead and put your sign on and roll on to putting the ribbon on. Everybody, I'm not seeing comments. Something's going on here. Try one more time to see comments. Well, okay, so with Jackie's picks, okay? If you will go, there is a specific collection of Jackie's picks. Every week, you can click on that collection, and once you go into that collection, you will see at the top the product, the picks, and then you just go down there and add them to cart. So let me show you how that works real quick. When you go to the website, scroll down to this week's picks, click shop now, and then on the inside, once you get to Jackie's picks, there's a picture again of what the picks are, so you don't have to scroll back and forth to what the picks are. And then you just go down, and all the products are in this section, and you just add to cart. So you can just go down and go click, 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 and add to cart. All you have to do is hit the shopping bag, add. Okay? So we did do everything to make it pretty easy for y'all to chop them. Like it's a specific collection on the Unique in the Creek page, so you don't have to go around searching for each product. All right. It's a tutu. It's a pink tutu, y'all. Chucky, don't ever call yourself stupid, honey. Not everybody knew that there was that specific collection and we did that for you, so it's okay. We probably should have, it's our fault for not letting y'all know that specifically about that collection. Okay, so good question. So Stephanie asked, as an example, if we're going to do the bunny wreath, how do you know how many florals to order before I do the tutorial? So on Jackie's Picks, how many florals do we order? Okay, so and I'll show you this as an example with this pick, kind of, I think. Maybe not. Okay, say for an example, I'll just use this as an example. Every pick that you see, you'll see the picture. Okay? Every pick, you'll see the picture, and you'll see on the picture, basically there's, and you kind of break it down, you go, there's 1 pick, 2 pick, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So for this wreath, because there's only 8 ties, I would only need this 1 pick because there is 7. Okay? Now, depending on how big I make my bow, I can get away with 6. Alright? Because if I don't want to exceed and have leftover, I'm just going to buy a pick that has like 6. So on the 609, 19 picks, whatever, there's basically only 3 picks on each of those. So I would just buy 2 and have 6 picks, and I would make that work. You know, also depends on how full you want your wreath. Y'all know I like full, over the top wreaths, okay? But for me, when I'm looking at this, I don't count this as one stem. It's 7. I'm like, and that's how I budget shop too, because I'm like, okay, so I paid $3 for this whole stem, right? But really, I'll divide and how much each stem costs me. Did that answer your question, Stephanie? Well, I don't put the wreath, the reason I don't add a wreath base, and I can start doing that if y'all would like. I can start, you know, with Jackie's picks, showing you which wreath base I would prefer, is that to leave it open for you to design your own. But my guideline is like for a 12-inch sign, most of the time, I'm going to use the ring board. Okay? For anything with wreath attachments, I'm going to use usually the large board because it has all those holes and attachment points. So if I'm using like huge rectangle, I'm going to use the oval board. If I'm using a rectangle sign that goes this way, I'm going to use a ring board or a large board. All right, y'all, we're going to cut our ribbons. And I'm thinking I only need ribbon on the outside, so we're just going to cut 8 pieces of each. And I've decided to bring out the mint color because, you know, you can't really find mint florals, y'all. So with my ribbon, I decided to bring out the mint color that's in here with this ribbon and bring back some of the neutral color with my other ribbon. Adding stuff to it, I'm going to cut my ribbon 14 inches. If you don't want to add anything, y'all, you don't have to, but just cut your ribbon 12 inches. Some people like less is more. That's fine. I'm a more is more is more. Okay? So if you're a less is more kind of person and you just want to add a couple of things, you just really only need to cut your ribbon 12 inches. That's nice. So I'm going to put my sign on first and foremost. then on most 12-inch signs, there's already holes, so I'm just going to use pipe cleaners. And then I'm going to put my one zip tie on for the hanger before I forget. And then that way I know where my top is of my wreath. All right, so this is my top. That's where my... So now that I know where the top is, I'm gonna get my center pipe cleaners and I'm gonna push them toward the outside. Like I said, I don't know if we need to put ribbon there yet. I don't think we will. But just in case, I wanna be able to get to my pipe cleaners. That's one thing I kind of really like about pipe cleaners is that I can add almost anything after the fact and not have to dig through to add another zip tie. That's like why that's my preference. Because sometimes I'll when I'm creating, I'll look over at my work area, my florals, whatever, and I'll see something and I'm like, oh, that would be perfect. I'm really bad about that, y'all. Because I go in with a plan, like I have a plan, I have my florals and stuff, but then I'll look over and see something, and yep, and I could end up adding to it. I don't know why I do that. I have just always been like that since I started making wreaths. Isn't that pretty, y'all? Alright, so after I put my sign on, y'all, this is what we do with the pipe cleaners. We just tuck them back under. Sometimes I'm able to reach it and really pull it back under. But I just find the hole closest. And then that way I don't have all the stuff hanging out and about. Probably, Beck, that's probably what it is. I'm always wanting to make something better. Better. That's like my kryptonite. That's like my downfall. That's gonna get me one day. But I have learned over the years to leave stuff alone. Like, just back off, Jackie. Leave it alone. It's fine. It's fine. It's taken a lot of self-talks over the years, but I finally got there. I also do that because my grandmother said some things when I was younger. My grandmother sewed, okay? This is fabric, my friends. And my grandmother always told me that fabric remembers. So that's why I don't make that crunchy fold in the center, because I don't want my ribbon to fold. I want it to ruffle. It's like making a bow. You want a good pinch with your ribbon. Nowhere in making a bow do you have a fold. So that's why I don't do a fold. It's a personal choice. There's people that fold and it's wonderful for them. Like I said, a lot of my technique is, you know, kind of a lot of old school too. For me, it's more efficient. So I'm still kind of not sure till I start adding the florals if we're going to need the ribbon on the inside. This is just a eucalyptus, y'all, that I get from Walmart. It's, to me, like one of the greatest greenery fillers ever. Now, sometimes, and I'll show y'all this because I'm picky, sometimes you have to borrow from one pick to fix a pick, and I don't mind doing that. So let me show you how to do that. So over here, there's a couple that are missing, so I'll steal from that. I'll take from that to fix this pick over here. Unfortunately, that's just the nature of florals getting bunched in the way they are at Walmart, is that you're going to end up having pieces like that. For the price, I don't mind fixing it. If I paid more, I would have a huge problem with it. But I don't. So, and we need to make a bow. This is me digging through leftover ribbon for my bow, y'all. We're going to add a little bit of this lacy stuff to the bow. And a little bit of a lighter mint with a stripe for a different kind of texture. Okay? Now, I don't want my bow to cover up the cow's face. So, I'm going to want more of like a straight line bow this way to not cover it up. So the bow's not going to be too awful big. It's not going to be like huge and fluffy. But we are going to use a 7-inch loop to start. And then we're going to come in with the tan ribbon. Now this is the only ribbon I'm going to use 2 loops on each side. So we started out with 7 and now I'm going to do about 6.5 inch loops. Oh, by the way, last week I asked about a good binge watch. Somebody told me about a good, oh, it was Annette. And I can't remember what she said. Alright, so now we're going to come in with the lighter mint color. This was actually left over from Christmas. Black Dove, that's probably it. That sounds correct. And we're only going to do one loop on each side of it. And then the white lacy ribbon, we're going to do 3 loops of it. And we're going to kind of bring this tail down a little bit longer to kind of curl it a bit, not much. And this is a, well, no, it's not two-sided. So we're going to have to twist it. But we're going to do 3 loops. And the reason we're doing 3 loops is to finish it off and put that, like, what some people call a little button in the middle. All right, and that's going to be our bow, just nice and simple. And then, like I said, so here's the top of my wreath and here's the bottom, but I don't want to cover up my cow, okay? So there's some blank space over here, and I also prefer my bow over this way anyway. So because there's blank space here, that's where I want my bow to go. So I'm putting it more up than I normally would. Like normally I might come down more here at the corner, but today I'm going to come up just a little bit more to the side. Okay. Beck, I believe, like, that's called menopause brain, what I'm going through. Because I remember a lot of things and I forget a lot of things too. Y'all know what I mean? These days, my brain is more selective than ever before. Like, you need to remember this, but you need, like, forget that. Remember this, forget that. And there's days where I'm like, well, it must have been not been that important. Fortunately, it seems like my brain forgets the important stuff, which I really don't appreciate it. Like, I don't appreciate the miscommunication between my brain and my body and everything that's going on. Like, it's funny, how's my brain supposed to control my body when it, like, has a miscommunication? My brain's like, oh, you can do it, and then my body's like, what? Like, I don't understand that. My brain's supposed to know better. Y'all know what I mean? So I'm not going to pull my tails like all the way out. I'm kind of going to leave them fanned out a little bit for those. Well, 99% of the time, my body thinks that I'm joking when I ask it to do stuff anyway. It's like, and it's like, what? Surely you jest. I'm like, no, not really. We really need to do this. My body's like, no, we don't. So this ribbon is actually pretty neat. It's pretty well wired. So it doesn't take much to really get a curl on. You can just run it through your fingers and it gets a pretty good curl going on, y'all. All right. So just a little tweak of the bow here, twist it just a little bit, and my cow is not covered up. Okay? I think people around me contribute to it too because they're like, Jackie, you're not that old. I know I'm not that old. Could you, like, tell my body? So then my brain is convinced you're not that old. My body, on the other hand, says, oh, look, lady. All right. So you can do this one of two ways. So with a pick like this, where the they don't move, leaves and stuff, they don't move up and down like they do on a pick like this. Whoop, let go. Come here. Stop. On a pick like this, where the stems and stuff, they move up and down, you can just literally take this, zip tie it in, or tie it in with your pipe cleaner. You don't need to use hot glue. I do both. I'm going to put a little hot glue in there and then tie it in with the pipe cleaner. But we have more florals. Get the greenery going on, my friends. You know what else would look real pretty with this, y'all? Lamb's ear. Okay, so I personally like to use multiple kinds of greenery to add a dark and a light to it. So that's why I'm coming back in with this one. And this one we're going to put more toward the center. And basically what I'm doing, y'all, when I do this and I'm just using hot glue, I'm really spiking that down into the mesh. Because the mesh will hold it. And I'm almost going straight, like almost straight down, but kind of like at an angle. And I'm really like popping the mesh. I don't think y'all can hear that when I do that. I need to start using lamb's ear more often. I don't want these to lay really flat, so I'm going to come back and kind of just like fluff them up a bit. Because greenery doesn't grow flat. Well, some of it does, like vines and some, but typically not. Okay, so now that I like the base of greenery that we have, now we're ready to come back in with our flowers. This is the ranunculus flower that I find at Walmart. It's actually pretty nice. And on the stem, there's a couple of different groupings. This is a grouping of 3 flowers together. And I'm going to try to find another one on this stem to use it as my larger element. There it is. Now, there's not another one on this bush, so that's why I have another one. Always so that I would have the 3 groupings of 3 for the wreath. Okay. Sometimes you gotta fix your flower just a bit, y'all. And not fixing it sometimes can give your wreath a not so good look. But you're better off taking the time to fix it. So with these larger groupings, I'm going to stick with my basic formula that I have, and I'm going to come across from my bow first with my first grouping of flowers. Like so. Sorry. And then I'm going to like do my first triangle. With these. And I'm putting these in closer for a reason. So do you see my basic start of my triangle? So now there's groups of 2. So to use the same flower, we're going to use the groups of 2 now. To kind of fill in. And then to still use the same bush, maybe, I'm doing it, y'all. I'm looking at my florals. I'm contemplating. I think we're gonna do this, y'all. Cause y'all know me, I like using leftovers. If I have leftovers and it'll fit in the project and get it out of my work area, that's what's gonna happen. I love putting a little bit of grass in wreath, and like a cow eats grass, so we definitely need to add some grass. Don't we? Yes, we do. It's the little things sometimes that make the biggest difference in the world. Sorry, let me put that back into your view. so you can see the grass. I try not to argue with myself because even when you argue with yourself, somebody has to be wrong, and I don't want to be wrong. So... I try to avoid that. I always think it's good to add like 3 different textures of greenery to a wreath because it gives it a whole lot more dimension and life. Because, you know, there's no one, not just one shade of green in nature. I like to add a few shades. So I'm just kind of putting these 2 pieces of greenery in because that's all I have left of that one. I mean, I can get more, but I don't know if I'll need to buy more for another project. So I'm just kind of like sticking these in. Ta-da! Now, I could actually go a little bit further with the leftovers, but then it kind of gets a little bit nitpicky. Because I have this that's left over and it's got some pink in it, but I'm not going to get nitpicky today. Alright, my friends, thank you for hanging out. Thank y'all so much. Don't forget, you will see me this Saturday, and this Saturday I'm going to do the girl bunny butt. Because I did the boy last week. Was it last week? Yeah. I did the boy last week. Well, this Saturday, I'm going to do the girl bunny butt. So I will see y'all Saturday. Bye, y'all.